Double check. Okay. We're on. Here we are. Welcome to the Freehub Podcast, live and direct from the Sunset District of San Francisco, California. We got a kind of special episode today. Unfortunately, Mateo is not here. He couldn't get this time off work. Adult life. We know how that is. But we got a special guest today. I've known him for a couple years. You've probably seen him on social media. None other than Mr. Justin Niemi.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Justin and I have known each other for a couple years. We were just talking about trying to figure out when we met a few years ago. Justin's Bay Area writer, Ripper. You might know him from East Bay Rippers. You might know him from some other projects. But we're going to get into all that and unpack it. So, how you doing?
Sounds good. Feeling great. Just got back from a ride. Hit a new feature that I wanted to hit, so feeling pretty high from that.
Yeah, what do you think of our little SF secret spot?
It's great. I think it's really cool what you guys have. I think the culture out here is thriving, and as long as you can keep it sacred and not get it blown out, then you'll have a good time.
We'll see. We're not doing a good job by talking about it in here, but yeah. Well, what have you been up to, man? What's been going on in your life?
Yeah, so currently I am just finishing up my third semester. I'm in a nursing program, so that's pretty much been my full-time gig lately. Working as well, and then trying to produce mountain biking content when I can, ride with my friends, and just have fun. It's tough to balance it, but I think I've been finding a groove.
Yeah, you just got married too, right?
Just got married, yeah. March we got married, took a honeymoon down to Cancun. It was a good time, and now we are back to normal life. But yeah, shout out to my wife, Leah. She's great. She definitely keeps me centered, and she supports me in all my endeavors, so it's nice to have that balance.
That's cool. Nice, man. Well, I guess I've known you for a few years, but I don't actually know, where are you from? We recently figured out we're the same age.
Yep. We're both. Should we tell people how old we are?
Yeah. Well, I'm 30. I think most people. I turn 31 tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Happy birthday again.
Thanks.
Happy early birthday. I'm 30 as well. 30 years old.
Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born in Walnut Creek, but I lived most of my life in Fairfield, California. That is where I live now, and Rockville's my backyard, so that's where I'm always riding.
Rockville,
shout out Rockville. Parker would say they're the best trails in Northern California.
Controversial
topic. Be careful with that. So pretty much grew up, went to elementary school, high school there, moved to Benicia, lived there for maybe like 4 or 5 years right out of high school. Nice little town on the water. And then when Leah and I moved in together, we decided to settle in Fairfield, and it just so happens I'm riding distance from Rockville, which has been perfect.
Oh, you're like riding distance?
Yeah, I can ride. Yeah, In like 5 minutes I can be to the gate.
Oh, wow.
Which has been sweet. Didn't matter in the beginning when I moved there because I didn't mountain bike at the time. But it's proved to be pivotal in my riding experience.
Yeah, well, that was a perfect transition to my next question. How did you get into riding?
Yeah, so I was a drifter. So I drifted cars for most of my adult life. And I was in a place where I wanted to further my education and go back to school. And I couldn't drift anymore because I was just pouring.
Wait, let's get into that. How did you get into drifting?
Because
drifting is something that, I just know it from Fast and Furious and Need for Speed. I didn't realize it was like a thing that people went out and it was like a lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. So I was big into the car scene out of high school, into modifying cars and doing things like that. Excuse me. So I had an old BMW, and my friends posted on Instagram, are you sliding or are you hiding? And I was like, these guys are drifting, and I knew they were drifting, and so I was like, I want to check you out and see what drifting is all about.
Yeah.
So we went to the city of Vallejo and drifted on ramps in pouring down rain. And these,
it's literally Need for Speed.
Yeah, seriously. And these two guys who were in the game were basically tandeming side by side, crashing into each other while drifting. And I was hooked immediately. It was the sickest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I just went full in, all the way, all in.
Yeah.
And so I drifted heavy for 3 or 4 years. And then, basically I was just so broke from drifting all the time.
I was going to say, it seems like a really expensive hobby, even more expensive than mountain biking.
Yeah, it's debatable, I would say, but it's worse because you buy into mountain biking and then you have a bike, you can go places that's relatively cheap, but every time your car touches the tarmac, it's hundreds of dollars, right? Hundreds of dollars to get into the entry fee, hundreds of dollars in tires, if something breaks, if you crash.
Yeah.
And then when you get deeper into it, you have a roll cage and you have to trailer your car to and from the event. So it's just so expensive.
Have you ever flipped a car?
Nope. I never flipped a car. Thank goodness. I did crash into a wall once. And then during tandeming, which is like when you drive side by side, you occasionally will like hit people. And so, I had some people spin and hit me. I hit some people. Luckily the car was always fine, doors and stuff like that broke, but yeah, so was deep into the drifting game and then was trying to make a life change. I was working 2 jobs at the time and just basically was flat broke. And I decided to go back to school, and I sold my drift car, sold my truck, sold my trailer, and then I was looking for something to do during the day between classes. And I had an old mountain bike.
What did you have?
I had a Trek Mamba 29er.
Ooh, the Mamba.
It was cool. It was like a 2010 or 2011. This was like 2018 when I started riding mountain bikes. So it was like a 3x, but it had hydraulic brakes and stuff. So it was okay, but it was not fun, right? And so I started riding Rockville.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I can't do this. There's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
And obviously, you see people on the trails and you get some bike envy. And then I was like, I need a full suspension mountain bike.
That's what happened to me at Tamarancho. I was on a shitty hardtail and I saw all the nice bikes and I got bike envy. And I was like, yep. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard when you're starting off.
What did you upgrade to?
So I was kind of shopping. And I decided I really wanted a bike that had Fox suspension, and I wanted a Santa Cruz because Santa Cruz was just like everybody had one.
Yeah.
And this was like, 1x, I think 11 speed was prevalent, 12 speed had just dropped, right? So it was like Santa Cruz with the dinner plate cassette. And I found a tall boy. So I got like an alloy tall boy 2017 with Fox. I think it had a 34 on it, but I didn't care because I was like, it's Fox suspension. Yeah.
Dude, I thought the same thing. I was like, I don't know anything, but if it says Fox, it's got to be good.
Exactly. They make race car suspension. They can make mountain bike suspension, right?
Yeah. It's got the gold. Oh.
Yeah. So bought the tall boy, and basically the rest is history. Like it enveloped my entire life. Same thing with drifting, just going all in all the time.
You definitely go all in on the bike.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way. Like if I'm into something, I'm fully in it. And it's just kind of how I've always been. I think now that I've gotten a bit older, I can balance it out, but I definitely just like find one thing and that's all I do. Like I don't even want to go snowboarding anymore. I just want to ride mountain bikes.
Just ride. I feel that. It's because riding's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we have amazing trails here. So why would I drive well, obviously in the summer I go to Tahoe, but when it's firing, I'm going to be down here riding good trails instead of up at the snow.
We're spoiled in the Bay Area.
We're very spoiled with the weather.
What is it about mountain biking that you like? Like, I feel like everyone has something that kind of draws them, and then there's got to be something that keeps you there because it's a difficult sport with high consequences. Like, what do you love about biking?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning I was more into the adrenaline rush of it, and I got on Strava very early on and was like really addicted to getting gold
KOM.
medals and stuff. Yeah, KOMing. So that was definitely what drove me in the beginning. I was looking for something that gave me that same fix that drifting did.
Did you do action sports growing up? Were you like a skater? Or?
Yeah, I did. So as a little kid, I raced BMX for a couple years, and then
there it is.
Yeah,
the BMX background. It always comes out. Every good rider is like, oh, but I rode BMX growing up.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, never did any tricks or anything, but I raced. So same sort of thing. I was like really addicted to going fast, right? So this was like between the age of 8 to 10. I like raced BMX, did that kind of thing, and then I skated kind of like you through high school and then a little bit into after high school. And then cars basically enveloped my life and then came back around. So definitely take some hints from back when I was a little BMX race kid. And that helped a lot when I started mountain biking as an adult.
Yeah.
But I think now what keeps me around the most is probably the community. And that's something that's been so important to me because I felt like in the car community, that cohesiveness that's in mountain biking didn't exist. It was very much, I don't want to say dog eat dog, but people were just a bit different than mountain biking. They weren't as accepting, as approachable as they are in mountain biking, which has been really cool.
Yeah. I noticed that when I got into riding too, that I thought mountain bikers would be like skaters, be very cliquey, and like you couldn't go up to a group of skaters in the city and be like, "Can I skate with you for the day?" They'd look at you like, what, "Get out of here, bro!" But you can go up to, in my experience, almost any group of mountain bikers and be like, "Can I ride with you?" And they're like, "Sure, man. Yeah. Where's your bike? Where are you from? Blah blah blah." And like it's an inclusive community, and so yeah, I resonate with that too.
Yeah, I think that's what's super important, especially if you're exploring like a new territory or new zone and you meet somebody. Most people, sometimes you'll get that
today.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking. So that guy's name was Henry, right?
Teddy.
Oh, Teddy. Yeah. So Teddy knows people that we know. And I always say this, like every little mountain bike clique, if there are cliques, right? Every little mountain biking group is connected by like one or two mountain bikers. So like that guy today was like, "Oh, you know so-and-so?" And I'm sure we did. We knew him.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, that guy." And then, exactly.
And so now we know Teddy, right? And then now Teddy's going to be a part of our group, or we're going to ride with Teddy. And then he knows people that know us, right? So we're all just like kind of in this web, which is really cool.
Which is, actually, I realized that's kind of, I think that's how we met, is that I was riding with Poe.
Oh,
and I don't remember how I met Poe, but I was riding with Poe, and then from Poe I started riding with Jay Wood.
Yeah.
Shout out Jay Wood.
Bike Some.
And then I was starting to ride with Jay in the beginning of quarantine, and then Jay invited me to Rockville, and that's the first time I remember meeting you.
You came to Rockville with Jay?
We
and
rode
Poe?
Rockville. Yeah, Poe was there, and actually, dude, I think Mateo was there. I barely knew him, but he left after like 10 minutes because he had a back problem.
Oh,
anyway.
I think I remember that. We were riding. Was this the day that we like sessioned with Poe and he was on his new bike and he was like had brake issues or whatever? We were like jumping that rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that day. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That was 2020.
Yeah.
Wow.
2020.
That makes sense because during 2020, that was when I remember like Poe and Jay were big in YouTube at that time.
Yeah.
I know Jay wasn't working because of everything that happened at the golf course.
Yeah.
I don't remember Poe, because Poe went fully online with his drumming. So we were all just like riding bikes.
Yeah. And I was in school getting my teaching credential and everything got put on pause. And like May 2020, the three of us rode like every day for like a month. It was awesome. Yeah. Shout out Jay and Poe.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was such an important time for us because we had an outlet. And I think that that's one thing we took for granted was that we were able to do what we wanted still during the lockdown, during all the quarantine. Like 2020 was probably the best riding year of my life.
Dude, same. And I always felt bad saying that because it was such like an intense time. But it was like, yeah, trails were open. There was no traffic getting to and from the trails.
Yep.
And you would just go out there and there'd be riders.
Yep.
And 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, the trails would be popping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Isn't that about the time you started the world famous East Bay Rippers?
Yeah, actually it was.
Yeah. How did East Bay Rippers come about?
Yeah, so I guess I should start with saying East Bay Rippers is a Instagram group. It was started by me and basically Parker. Spencer joined later that year, and then our friend Sully. And the reason I started East Bay Rippers was because I had some friends that like didn't really post on Instagram, and they had all these cool edits, and I wanted to make sure that they had the content and it was out there. So started East Bay Rippers, and then people were vibing with the page. They liked it. They would share our stuff, and we started like doing some group rides and meeting more people, and then we started making merch. Mm-hmm. And after we started making merch, then it kind of took off. I don't know if they were both kind of correlative. Anyways, I don't know if they correlated, but I think that kind of like built our success. And then people started seeing the tees and wanting the tees, and that was really cool.
I still will see the first tees. Like I'll see them occasionally out and about. I'm like, okay, I know. Yeah.
No, it's super cool. And then people like Logan, for instance, like he always wears East Bay Rippers tees. Shout out Logan.
Shout out Logan Dewey. We love you, Logan.
Dewey. So it's just been really cool. And so I think that was kind of something that I always dreamed of, like having a little merchandise brand. Mm-hmm. And also just kind of connecting people. I don't think in the beginning I wanted people to know that East Bay Rippers was me. but it was kind of apparent. And so, yeah.
But no, I think you did a great job of connecting people. I think there's a whole bunch of riders, and their common thread is East Bay Rippers. And like, you'll show up places and people are like, oh, those are East Bay Rippers, or just like East Bay Ripper. Like, yeah, it's kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think it's been cool. Unfortunately, there's been some drama around it, and some people have said some hurtful things to me. And, I'm a human. I still take those things kind of to heart.
There's always going to be drama.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame. But anyways, yeah, I think lately at least we've been kind of a bit quieter on the page than we were in the past.
You've also been in nursing school too, so.
Yeah, that's true. I think in the beginning we used to go out and create content with a focus that this was going to East Bay Rippers, and then lately we've kind of all just been posting to our own personal pages. So the page has lost a little bit of traction. But we've still been doing some fun stuff, and I still have some merch for sale and stuff like that.
Go check it out, East Bay Rippers.
Check it out. It's a sale. Teaser on sale right now. But yeah, we might do some more stuff. Man, if I were to say one thing about making the merch, it was like the collab that we had with Shredder's Digest.
Oh, that's one of my favorite shirts. I love that one.
That was so cool. Like, I guess because I idolized them a lot with just Zio is the guy who's the artist, and like his talent and their brand in general is just so cool.
Yeah, it's really, It's like if I had artistic skill and could design my dream t-shirts, it would be Shredder's Digest stuff.
Yeah, their stuff is sick. It's very expensive, but it's so high quality. Actually,
you got the hat on.
I got a hat on. I got a Shredder's I'm wearing a Shredder's Digest hat right now.
Shout out Shredder's Digest. We'll take some merch for the podcast, Shredder's Digest. Just put it out there.
They would probably send you a design. They're super cool. But yeah, that guy Zio, he does amazing art, and I think that was probably like the highlight of starting the merchandise brand and the Instagram page, was being able to have something designed by him and print it on tees and basically have it forever.
Yeah, they're cool shirts. I got North Star mud, which is a thing that doesn't really exist, but I got mud from North Star on the shirt, and I didn't wash it for like a week because we were in Tahoe, and I still can't get the mud out. So I'm kind of pissed because it's right over the graphic. But
yeah, the live wire, when they used to water it, it would just wreck your t-shirts. I vividly remember being like, I'm not wearing this shirt at North Star, or I'm not riding live wire because it's wet, because I don't want to mess up my shirt.
I don't want to mess it up.
Which sounds kind of vogue.
Yeah. So what's up with the bike swap thing? Seen it. It seems like a really cool idea. What's going on with that?
Yeah. So I'm actually upset that I missed the Step Up Jam, and they happen to be the same day. So
yeah,
that was a bummer.
Yeah, we did miss you there.
That looked sick. Yeah. But yeah, so the bike swap started because the Bay Area Bike Swap is an event that I hosted with Bay Area Bike Project, which is a nonprofit, and their mission is to get more kids on bikes.
Love that mission.
Yeah, they're amazing, and we've done some really cool things lately with getting foster kids on bikes. And I had the chance to do a coaching session with a foster kid. It was just so special. It was so special.
Nice.
But I had reached out to my friend Darren, who was selling bikes during COVID 2020. He had a kind of bike flipping thing going on, and I said, hey, I want to do a little bike swap. Let's do it at a commercial plaza, a couple little tents, and try to sell some stuff. And he involved Danielle, who is the owner, I guess, of Bay Area Bike Project. And when we got Danielle involved, she realized it could be a big event, and we could host it at Heather Farm Park in Walnut Creek and get a bunch of sponsors and do an event, a festival essentially. So we did it last year, and unfortunately, because it was a first time event, it was tough to get people to buy in, and the market was still kind of weird, whereas it's completely 180 this year around, right? Last year they had no supply, and things we couldn't get supplies or sponsorship stuff. So we did the bike swap last year. It was a success. We made money, not that much money, but still a successful event. So this year we had some literature and some sponsorship packets for that, and we were actually able to get some more sponsors and host a really rad event. So the event consisted of obviously pop-up tents, vendors, and then our main sponsors, and then we had the BMX demo as well as the bunny hop competition. Yeah. And that was something that we did last year, but we did it at the end of the event. It was at the event ended at 2, and we did it right at 2. Well, this year we did it at 1, smack dab in the middle of the event, and it was awesome. It was it felt like something at a legit Sea Otter or Sedona, you know, like people were lined both sides.
Yeah, like, cheering it on.
The DJ was hyping everybody up, and so we did the bunny hop competition. That was really cool. And so the winner got like a engraved trophy that Danielle made.
Who was the winner?
Samar won. He's actually one of the guys who did the BMX demo. So we had a guy who won on mountain bike, and then we had a guy who won for the BMX contest. And yeah, they won $100. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought I was going to take home the mountain biking segment, but I got to 34 inches, and then I couldn't clear 36 inches. So
what was the winning number?
The winning BMXer got to like 40 inches, and then the guy who won on the mountain bike, who won the BMX competition won the bunny hop last year on a BMX bike, he got to like 38 inches.
38 on full suspension?
38 on a full suspension mountain bike.
Yeah.
It was insane to watch.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Super talented guy. His name's Bert. So Bert and Samar won the bunny hop competition. That was really cool.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know the stats about the event this year, but we think it was more successful. It was much more kids this year, whereas last year was more like teens. Mm-hmm. This year was more like adults and kids. So in the future, we may continue with that kind of demographic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was such a fun time. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks
cool.
That's
the bike swap.
Nice, man. That's a good thing to do for the community, and I feel like anything to get more people on bikes and access to it, it's always good. Yeah,
and the Bay Area Bike Project, their mission is to get more kids on bikes, but they're also advocating for bike parks locally. So they've teamed up with Joel. He's trying to get one built, I think, in like Berkeley.
Yeah, the Berkeley Waterfront Park?
Yeah, exactly, which is like, it's happening.
Yeah, I think it got approved, or one level of it got green lighted for something.
Yeah, so it's like the QSEC, which is like the committee that goes out and does all the foundation, make sure that it can be a bike park.
Yeah.
They already went out and did that stuff, so I think it just needs funding, and Bay Area Bike Project can help with that. So we're working on the Berkeley one now, and then they've been pushing for one in like Pleasant Hill, Martinez, which is like most of where the committee members live. Mm-hmm. They're pushing for one now, so hopefully we'll get one soon. They're going to do like a waterfront revamp, so hopefully a bunch of bike parks will start popping up, and we can, facilitate and push these parks.
Yeah. Have you heard about the Gilroy Bike Park?
Oh yeah,
that's like we pipe dream about.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
I don't think
paper.
I don't know if it'll happen ever. Hopefully, but
I think realistically, if they just at least built some trail and there was a fire road, then at least people could access it on e-bikes. I feel like there's enough e-bikes in the South Bay that would go and ride it and pay.
Yeah, and
that could at least be a start.
Yeah. If you don't know, there's I don't know if it's like a winery, but some company owns a whole bunch of land, and they sent a petition request or whatever to the city of Gilmore to make a lift serve bike park, and they made blueprints and everything, and the internet was really excited, and then there's been like 2 waves, and then it's kind of disappeared. So that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. It sounds cool. I don't know what the status is, and it seems like it keeps getting blackballed, and I don't know why, but
who knows?
It would be cool.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have to go all the way to Tahoe for lift access.
Oh, it'd be nice. Well, we post the clip on our Instagram, but Justin did a pretty big send today in our quote-unquote secret spot in San Francisco. But all that was, you're trying to film content. What's up with this Mike's Bikes sponsorship partnership that you got going on? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I signed on with Mike's Bikes this year as an ambassador for them. They don't have an ambassador program currently, or they didn't have one until now. So we're still kind of finalizing the details, but I'll be riding for Mike's. I'm riding a Giant Trance X Advanced right now. I'm not on the Transition like I was previously.
So you'll be like demoing bikes, doing reviews type stuff?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to get me on a few bikes this year so I can try different things and then basically create content around, similar to what I'm already doing, but just have a wider focus, and then making specific content, for Mike's and for their Instagram.
Nice.
And hopefully we got some shoots planned, and then I want to do some bike park stuff this summer. So we laid out the schedule and we're working on some stuff. So
that's cool.
As of right now, it's still a work in progress.
All right, here's one. If you, no budget, if you could just have your dream build bike right now, what would it be?
Yeah, right now, a bike that Mike sells, or just in general?
In general, just any, your dream bike.
I'm really big into high pivot bikes right now. All my friends have high pivot bikes.
Yeah. So we saw today, the Dreadnought.
Yeah, which we saw today. He was riding a Dreadnought, the blue flame color. Blue Heat, Blue something. Yeah. So I think that would probably be like a high pivot bike of some sort. The Crestline is really cool. But realistically, probably a Dreadnought would be like my high pivot dream right now.
Yeah. What would be your dream brakes?
Oh, man, I've been on the Hayes Dominion brakes for a very long time.
Super solid.
I really love them. Yeah, I've been on them since actually Bike Saw them. I recommended them back in 2020.
Yeah, that was the first time I rode them, was on shout out Jay Wood again.
They were amazing, and he had them on his Mega Tower, so I bought them back then. They were like $330 for a set, which is crazy, right?
Oh, per set. Oh, yeah.
An entire set for $330.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now they're like probably $300 each.
They've gone up so much.
Yeah.
But I think I really want to try the TRP DHR Evos. A lot of people run those. They're sweet. The bite point is like effortless.
Yeah. The gold levers look really cool too.
Yeah.
I like those. Yeah.
They've got gold and silver and then black,
Yeah.
which is really rad. I think I'd probably just go black, but they're sweet. So it'd probably be a high pivot bike, and it'd probably have TRP brakes.
Carbon or aluminum?
What are we talking about here? Are we talking about bikes, or are we talking about wheels?
Both bikes and wheels.
Okay, so bikes, I think that carbon is cool because it's lightweight.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, it's like bougie a bit, right?
Yeah, you like tapping the carbon.
Exactly.
It has a little like glow in the sun. It's just a little different. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, especially the paint job on this current bike I'm on, it's like raw carbon and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
I think that aluminum bikes, after riding the Transition Patrol for a while, and I had the tall boy in the beginning, I think that aluminum bikes and carbon bikes are on par quality wise. It's just the weight of the aluminum bike, especially on the big climbs. Like my Patrol weighed like 40 pounds. Yeah. Which is a tank.
I think mine's like 38. Yeah.
It felt super robust. I never questioned it when things got sketchy, but it just was a heavy bike.
Yeah.
So I think either or would be fine.
How about for wheels?
I like carbon wheels. Same sort of thing because they're like bougie. And
I got my carbon wheels with the lifetime warranty too.
Yeah, they're cool. I've cracked a lot of carbon wheels, so I'm kind of getting to the point where I think that I have an alloy wheel that's been super solid on the back. The Patrol specifically, I had a 27.5 alloy wheel. And I think that if you get it laced right and it's a good alloy hoop, it can be just as good as carbon.
Yeah. And a lot of companies are starting to do that, offer lifetime warranties on their alloy rims now, because I think you get it built right, it's good tires, like you're solid.
Yeah, I think that the new reserves look pretty cool.
Didn't you blow up a reserve?
I've blown up 4 reserves now.
4 reserve wheels?
Yeah, always the same.
You hear that?
It's always the same. It's always like the same sort of rock strike. Doesn't matter if I have double down, downhill, cush core. It's like the same sort of side hit rock strike that will take a wheel out no matter what, which I think aluminum would have just dented. And then I would have been able to ride away, which sometimes you can ride away on a carbon wheel. Sometimes it explodes and you're done, right?
Yeah.
So I think that now I'm leaning more towards aluminum wheels, robust ones though. I don't really care about the weight penalty, so I would probably go with like a DT Swiss, like EX511 or something like that if I were building a dream build right now.
Nice. I kind of feel that way too with like aluminums. At one point it seemed like carbon had such an advantage, and I was like, you have to have carbon. And now it's like, I don't know if you can have full aluminum and ride just as hard and same reliability. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think with the enduro scene, the carbon means less for wheels. It means a lot for cross-country guys. Yeah. But in the enduro scene, alloy wheels just as fine.
Yeah. What do we got? What would you... I'm going through my list of questions right now.
Let's see it.
All right. I'm going to throw some out. Whips or tabletops?
Ooh, I do love a nice whip, but I love tabletops. I always wanted to have like a super clicked tabletop. Yeah. And the first like celebrity rider that I rode with was Ryan Rodriguez. And I wanted to tabletop like Ryan so bad. Yeah, he had him so clicked, and I just focused on learning how to tabletop. I went as far as like laying on my back in the garage. And,
I do that. Yeah. I still can't do them, but I do that.
It helped. It helped a lot. I think that it was just one of those things. It's like just like wheeling, you know, you just have to, every time you ride, you have to try it. Yeah, you have to try it. If you're not trying tabletops every time you go out, you're just not going to get them clicked. So I would say tabletops. Whips are sick, especially like a nasty scrub whip, like, you know, Remy Metalier. That would be so sick. But I just, at the end of the day, having a nice flat tabletop is just, it's so sick.
Yeah. All right. Tabletops. SRAM or Shimano?
I'm assuming we're talking drivetrain.
Yeah, you said Hayes brakes. So, okay, drivetrain.
Yeah, if we're talking drivetrain, I really like SRAM, especially the new transmission stuff. I really want to try the new transmission stuff. And so I've been looking at some other bikes to ride as well, and I definitely want to ride something.
Is that the news thing with the no derailleur hanger?
Exactly. Yeah. So your bike has to have a UDH. So like it would work on your bike. Your bike has a UDH. But yeah, it removes the derailleur hanger. It fixes essentially the derailleur to the frame. So only the cage moves forward, which prevents tons of chain slap that was happening on the previous models.
Yeah.
It shifts better. The cassette's completely reworked. The chain's new.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising that it took this long. Because I feel like people have been so sick of derailleur hangers. And then it was 2 years ago they came out with the universal derailleur hanger. So you could have done that 20 years ago. And then it's like, it's cool that they're doing it. It's just a little overpriced right now, I think. It's like a third of the price of my bike.
Yeah, I think EXO is like $1,800 or something like that.
You could buy a full complete bike. I mean, not the best, but you could.
Yeah, you can buy a Polygon for like $1,800, which is crazy, right? You can buy an entire bike. But I think that the functionality's there. I think that I wouldn't be. I would justify that purchase easily because of just the functionality of it. Like it's so functional. You're going to drop chains less. It's going to shift better.
Yeah.
So I'm on board.
No, I'm into it. It's just, once they start sending free stuff over here, then I'll rock it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on e-bikes?
I like e-bikes because they allow people to ride more trails in a specific amount of time. I think there's a issue with e-bikes specifically because people have been able to buy e-bikes and ride trails that they have never ridden before on a normal bike. So now they have a heavier bike and they're learning on this heavier bike.
And they're on top of a mountain they wouldn't normally climb.
Yeah. So it's like a bit of a trail access issue, and also like a rider skill issue when it comes to e-bikes.
Did you see how... I think it was Specialized in their patent for their latest e-bike. It says, like, generally riders of electronic bikes are less skilled than those of regular bikes. It was written into the patent.
Oof. Yeah, I just think that a lot of people got into mountain biking because e-bikes made it easier, which is good. Yeah. I think that people should be able to ride bikes, but I just think that, unfortunately, there are some downsides to it, and it's that they're riding the trails, improperly on a heavier bike more times. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I like them. I think they're functional. I don't have one yet. I don't ride them often, but I like that they can allow you to access more trails and get more laps in a specific amount of time. Like it works perfect for the parent who doesn't have a lot of time but still wants to ride. And they have steep climbs in their backyard that they would only be able to do, one lap or something like that.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm like, if you're a long-term rider and you get an e-bike, cool, good for you. If you get an e-bike as your first bike, it's like cheating. Like if you get to go the rite of passage, you have to get like a few crappy bikes, build up to a nice bike. You got to get your climbing endurance on. And I feel like a lot of people skipped that and just bought $8,000 to $12,000 crazy e-bikes. And then they bought the whole kit. And it's like, oh, I'm a rider now. And it's like, I think that's a lot of people feel frustrated. It's like, no, you haven't put in your time yet. And then the e-bike just lets you skip all of that time.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing I guess I'm concerned about too is that the tech is being surpassed very fast. And so the older e-bikes that
completely outdated.
Exactly. So what's happening to them, right? Like are we recycling them? Are the batteries being reused? I don't know. And so that's something we're going to have to consider in 5 to 10 years, right? There's going to be this whole slew of bikes.
Millions of e-bikes produced in 2020.
Right. And where are they going to go? So that's something I don't think a lot of people are talking about, right? Because as the motors get older, they're not going to support them with aftermarket parts and stuff like that. They're just going to be like, oh, you need to get a new one.
Yeah. It's going to be like computers, how like a computer from like 2001, by the time it's 2010, was just so obsolete. It just was in the trash. It wasn't even worth it to recycle it. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a concern, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Going back to my list of questions, what's the worst crash you've ever had?
So I have 2 bad crashes, and I guess I'll talk about both of them because they're bad in different ways. Mm-hmm. So I would say by far my worst crash was on King Kong.
Oh, yep.
That was my worst crash because the severity was so high.
Yeah.
Like even talking about it right now.
Do a deep dive on Justin's Instagram. If you could explain the clip, but he's riding King Kong. Looks like everything's good. You come off of one of the drops and you just go straight to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gnarly one.
So you remember the clip.
Yeah, he's going down like, I mean, if you don't know the trail King Kong, it's in Utah. Is it in Virgin?
It's in Virgin,
yeah. And it's extremely exposed, and if you make a mistake, you're falling, what's the elevation?
I don't even know.
It's really high up, down
hundreds
steep.
of feet.
Yeah, you don't want to do it, and that's pretty much what almost happened to you.
Yeah.
And it looked like you were pinned, and didn't even seem like a mistake. It's just like you just landed, and something just...
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I'm getting shaky, like just thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
So we dropped in. I had never been to Virgin before, right? So I show up, and this guy was leaving. He's like, hey, I want to ride King Kong. It's my last day here. So... I'm with Ryan and Chelsea and a bunch of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met them out
Chelsea.
there.
Yeah,
shout out Chelsea. She was just on here. So I'm with Ryan and Chelsea, and we're like working our way down piece by piece. This guy named Walter was the one who was leaving that day. So we get down probably like 4 or 5 features in, and it was getting kind of windy. So we were trying to time the gusts, which you can't time, but we thought we could. So Walter dropped, Ryan dropped, and I was like, good, I'm going to drop.
Like 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah. And so I start dropping, and when you look back at the clips, you can like hear the wind like picking up right as I'm coming to the ridge. And I'm like, okay, it's going to slow down as I'm dropping. Well, I drop, and it just pushes my bike. So I land, completely just spew off the side of the ridge. And I knew when I like fell off my bike that it was bad. And you can hear me saying that in the clip, like, it's bad, it's really bad, because I knew there was like an edge. I didn't know what the edge looked like, but I knew there was an edge.
Yeah.
And I was just digging, trying to find some sort of ground. And luckily I like come around really quick from spinning, and I see blue sky. And so I just like dug my hands in and stopped. And I was like a couple feet from the edge of just pinballing down. Yeah.
Jesus.
And yeah. So I jump up, and I'm like, I'm okay. Pure adrenaline. And then I realized that I had like separated my AC joint.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I couldn't ride down the rest of the trail. And
did that hurt, or was your adrenaline pumping?
It didn't really hurt that bad, but it was just, I knew I was done riding. Like I couldn't ride. I couldn't barely lift my arm up to put it on my bars.
Oh.
So then I had to walk down the rest of Kong, and I basically told the crew like, hey, I'm just going to get going because I know I'm going to be on this mountain for a while. I want to just get down, right?
Yeah. How long is Kong? Like a mile, 2 miles?
It's not that long. No, it's only like 15 total features, I think.
But each feature, you're moving a few hundred feet down the mountain.
Yeah, I think like when you look at the fastest riders who ride it, they ride it like in under a couple minutes, like top to bottom from when you come off of Monkey onto Kong.
But it's not an easy hike out, so.
No, it's not. And there was some drops, so I had to like throw my bike down and slide down this jagged Utah rock to get down, because I just didn't want to wait for the guys. I didn't want to ruin their time on Kong. I just wanted to get down. I didn't want them to worry about me anymore.
No, I know you. I've been there. I'm like, I'm making it to my car by any means necessary.
Exactly. Yeah. So I went back, got to the cars, and I knew at that point I was wrecked and I wasn't going to be able to ride. So I just packed up my car and drove home.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not riding.
Did you have to get surgery, or what was the
No. So yeah, they have like multiple grades of AC separation, and mine was probably like a 2 or a 3. So like within a month, I was back on the bike riding, like
nice,
low risk, low impact kind of stuff. But yeah, I was done. So yeah, I just drove. I was like, I'm just getting out of here. I don't want to be in this desert anymore. I can't ride.
Yeah. Gnarly.
Yeah. So that's probably, I would say that one is still my worst, because of how just like
how bad,
how risky it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. Glad you're here with us.
Thank you. Yeah, man, that was terrible. And so second to that would be my Triple J crash, which you've probably seen that video.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you break your back?
Yeah. So I broke my back in 3 places.
Yeah. Okay,
broke my clavicle and bruised my spleen. So I had to take an ambulance out of there. It was pretty embarrassing.
Fuck.
But yeah.
When was that?
2020, January 2020.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know. I knew you crashed, but I thought like you walked out and then later found out your back was broken.
Yeah, I did walk down the hill because I knew the ambulance was gonna have to get me, and I didn't want them to have to like cart me out of there. So I like walked down to the right into some houses, and then my friend called an ambulance and they picked me up right there.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Why did you think what went wrong on the Triple J crash?
Yeah, so I had rode it when it was dirt.
Triple J's a jump at Carlmont that now has a wooden lip. This is before the wooden lip?
No, it was the wooden lip had just been built.
Oh, okay.
So I think they lock it up now, but it wasn't locked up or anything at that time. And I had seen it on Instagram. I'd seen some kids riding it. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm hitting this jump. I had it in my mind made already, which is, I think that was mistake number 1.
Yeah.
So I arrived and I was looking at it, and I'd never hit anything that vert before. And I didn't know the speed. And there was a sign on the jump that was like, don't hit this jump if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I remember that sign. Yeah. And I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm never going to hit this jump. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that sign and was like, I'm fine. I know how to ride bikes. This is no big deal. Well, I had never hit a jump that was that vertical before, so I had no idea what I was doing. And so I went in like with the normal amount of speed, I thought, and just got completely bucked so bad.
Oh.
So I did like basically 3/4 of a front flip and landed like on my back with my shoulder, basically taking the brunt of the impact. And I knew immediately.
So what made contact first, your front tire or your back?
So I got launched. I was still holding the bike for a good majority of the spin. The bike didn't like leave me, I think, until like right as I was hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And what made contact initially was like I stuck my hands out and my hands like kind of hit, and then I like went into like a roll kind of. Yeah. So I like landed, most of the force was to my right shoulder, which blew the clavicle out, and then damaged the AC joint again, and then went straight to the back. And I think like the flipping into the back was what like cracked the vertebrae.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah. So that was, and I was pretty messed up about that crash, but I don't think as mentally messed up as I was with Kong.
Yeah, just because the adrenaline.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to recover from your back being broken?
So luckily the way that I broke it wasn't like through the vertebrae. It was like more like the outside of the bone. So it was more about like the muscles and all the innervation in that area. So I was back on the bike like 6 weeks out, but it hurt bad. I remember it feeling like burning when I would ride. Have you ever had physical therapy before?
Yeah, only for my ankles, but yeah.
So like when you first start doing physical therapy, it gets hot and kind of burns. Yeah. I don't know if you remember feeling like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it felt like when I got back on the bike. Like I was very timid and it just burned really bad for probably like the next few weeks of riding.
Do you feel that going to nursing school makes you more aware of your injuries and how to recover? Because you're like, oh, I have my, whatever vertebrae. I don't know. That's not an example. But like, do you feel like you have more of an awareness of
Probably. Yeah, probably. So I was I didn't mention this, but I was an EMT back in 2013. I got my EMT certificate, and I worked as an EMT for a while. So I think that it's pretty on par. I would say that more about like the processes and where it is in the body, I'm probably a little bit better, like anatomy side of it now, because I've taken those classes.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely more nervous about certain injuries now than I ever was before, because we're learning about them and we're seeing them in the hospital.
You see it every day.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of tough to deal with. Like,
yeah,
especially I hate saying like at this age, but at the old ripe age of 30,
oh god,
you're thinking about that kind of stuff more, right? Because how much life
true.
do we have in front of us, and we're thinking about it differently than we were at 20, 25.
And the financial costs of being out of work and
exactly
a lot of other stuff.
The burden of your family needing you, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. On the note of worst crashes and being an adult, what's the worst job you've ever had?
Oh geez. So my first job, I worked at a recycling zone. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those places where you take your cans and you like weigh them and they like smash them into bricks. Yeah. So I worked there, and like the first hour we would just be like shoveling and brooming just like stuff that flew around the plant. And then depending on the day and how busy it was, I would have to wade into like big giant piles of cans and bottles and pick stuff out. Yeah. So that was
dirty jobs.
Yeah, it was just a terrible little job. I was like 16, right? I got $8 an hour. I remember my checks were like $56 after tax, right? $8 an hour for 8 hours. And so I was like wading through garbage for $56 a day, which sounds crazy now. Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely the worst job I've ever had. Also working in retail, like I worked in retail for a while, and it just sucks because what we were talking about earlier with like performance metrics and people, you need to sell X amount to these customers, and if you don't, then so retail is tough. So if anybody is listening and you work retail, I applaud you. You are a special human for being able to deal with the retail side of things.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Oh, injuries and jobs. Where are we going now?
I guess on the note of jobs, kind of related. I don't know. What advice do you have for young riders? I feel like what kind of a lot of people liked about East Bay Rippers was like it's a platform, and I feel like that kind of attracts younger riders. I remember when I was a kid, I was like wanted to know like who's posting skate videos, who's the filmer, who's out. What advice do you have for young kids trying to get out there and be seen? Yeah, I think that what's crazy about these younger kids in mountain biking is you'll meet some kid who's like a super shredder. And then you'll be like, dude, are you on Instagram? How am I supposed to see your stuff? And then you'll follow them and they have 0 posts. Mm-hmm. Dude, same thing with skating. Like the best skaters have no following and they're like, oh, I just skate. It's like, dude, you could be pro. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I almost feel like envious of them to be so disconnected from social media. Because I don't know how you feel about social media. This is probably a topic in itself. But yeah. Sometimes I feel like I need to check it, right? Mm-hmm. And I need to be up to date and I need to be keeping in touch with these people. It's like checking your email or literally checking your mailbox. It's like I need to see what people said. And I feel like I have more conversations on social media than I do through actual texting. So it's like I'll take a social media break. I'm like, where are all my friends? Oh, they're all in my DMs. And it's like, yeah. So I feel this like I want it, like mental health wise, I know it's so bad for my mental health and I'm aware of how addicted I am to it. But then it's like the addiction is also facilitates your life. So it's a weird space. We're the first and only generation in history to be dealing with this. And I feel like I'm going on a little rant, but I've noticed the younger kids, I think they have a better understanding of social media because it was there when they were born. And they're just now hitting that where Generation Alpha is like they're fully born into social media. Yeah. And I think their brains, it's not as big of a deal. It's like us with TV, like the 20s, 30s, 50s, 40s, 50s, they're like, oh, TV's ruining your brain. Kids are addicted to TV. And by the time we were born, it's like, yeah, we watch TV, but like we still had our lives. And I feel like that's kids with phones. It's like they've kind of, I've noticed, maybe I'm trying to project optimism to it, but I think younger generations have a better understanding of like, yes, it's addictive. Yes, I could spend all day on it, but I want to go live my life. Interesting. I've kind of noticed that a little bit. So I think that's what you're saying is like, there's some really good kids and they're like, yeah, I know I could do all that, but I just want to ride my bike. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. I think that these kids, they do have a different grasp on it. But also, are they not tapping into potential? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where the drive comes from because I feel like often I'm driven to do things I like and I'm driven to post them and share them with people that I like. Mm-hmm. But how important is that? Maybe we make it a bit more important than it needs to be. And these kids are just so tapped in that they don't need that. Yeah. I feel like our generation's also seen people like go from nothing to all of a sudden they're hanging out with celebrities, like signing these contracts, living these crazy lifestyles. And it's like, what did they do? They just had like 3 viral posts. That's true. I feel like, I don't know, like at least for me, I kind of feel that temptation in my brain of like, you could be the next one. Yeah, something. And like, it's so naive and it's like, I mean, at least for me, I know I'm not like the writer that's going to be doing that, but you still have this little temptation. And I wonder if that's a thing from our generation of watching people come up. Yeah. Where like the other new generation is just like, whatever, it's just part of life. Anyway, We're going on a rant. We probably sound old to young people.
No, that's interesting though, and I think that that's part of the drive that I have to like produce an edit or like a video part is because we grew up on video parts.
Mm-hmm. And you drop one of it, and you remember like all of a sudden you see like Tommy Sandoval in a Zero video. It's like, oh my God, that guy's like so sick. And then you're obsessed with like, when's this next part dropping? And he became like a celebrity in your life. And
yeah. Well, something that I always go back to, and we're in San Francisco right now, but it's like Gymkhana 5, Ken Block. Like he, does donuts on the Bay Bridge, starts off on the Bay Bridge.
How the hell did he do? How did you shut down the Bay Bridge? He had so much money.
I saw something on this recently. They actually only paid the city of San Francisco $1 million.
Only $1 million?
Only $1 million, which they said by today's standards, it would have been like over 10.
Oh, yeah.
But so, it's still $1 million.
He had $1 million.
He was able to shut down the Bay Bridge and a bunch of streets in San Francisco, right? Drift around the trolley cars, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's something I always go back to, right? Like, where is our inspiration coming from? Yeah. Is it just coming from social media? Because I don't feel that inspired by social media personally. I think that sometimes when I'm doom scrolling, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't it. And every once in a while a video resonates. I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I think most of what inspires me is going on like Pink Bike and looking at the edits.
Yeah.
One of the edits I'm thinking of specifically is like the Braga,
Sound of Speed,
the most recent one where he was just like sending everything straight to flat.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love that video.
Right. So that I think that's probably where we get some of that is like also old skating videos, cool motorsports, and then that's where we get our content. So maybe it's just different.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about. So anyways, I guess for coming back around, young kids, and now maybe I appreciate the fact that they don't post because they have a different grasp on it.
Yeah.
But I think that getting recognized would be so much easier. And maybe that's not important to them, but I think that these kids who shred could have solid social media presence.
Yeah.
And could be sponsored or get flow products or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But they're not tapping into that potential because it's not being shared.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah. Social media. It's a weird day and age. I mean, I could go on a whole nother.
What is social media like for you? Because I think my grasp of it's probably different than your grasp of it. Like, what do you think about it? What's your role in social media?
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's like this addictive thing, but you need it in life. And I think it's also, I talk about this with my brother, what you consume on social media. Because like I'll click on one video and it'll be like a rapper talking about something, and all of a sudden it'll put me in this clickbait of just like really dumb videos. I'm like, why am I watching this? Like I literally feel like my IQ is dropping the more I scroll. And then I'll see like a really cool mountain bike video, and then it'll show me clip after clip, or like Fest series. It's like I click on one Fest series videos and I go on a rabbit hole of Fest series. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I want to consume this. I like seeing riding. It's inspiring. It's going to motivate me on the bike. And so I try to be aware of that and like unfollowing certain accounts and then being more conscious of what I'm consuming, and also the time of day. Like I'll wake up and I'll be 6:30 and just be like, do I need to read or hear about whatever stupid drama?
Yeah.
Or like there's all those, I'm going to rap, but all those interview people, it's like on the street and they're interviewing. I'm like, why am I watching this? What am I doing? So I try to be conscious of like what I'm consuming through it. But it's tough. And then when you're off it, it feels like you're missing so much. And
What about checks and balances? Do you set any sort of like guidelines? For instance, like, do you wake up in the morning and say, I won't touch my phone for X amount of time, or I won't go on Instagram for X amount of time? You don't do any of that?
I should. I have a problem with, I wake up and I try not to do social media right away.
Okay.
I generally check my phone. But I try not to do that. And there's so much evidence that just says it's so much better for your brain to not consume it. But it's the addiction level. And sometimes I wish we didn't have phones. Not that we didn't have phones. I wish we didn't have smartphones. I just wish it was like 2004 and we could only text and call. And like, that was good. We just could have stopped there.
Yeah. But when's the last time you knocked on someone's door?
Yeah. Or like memorized a phone number.
Right. Exactly.
Do you remember phone manners? You'd have to like call your friend's mom.
Hello, Mrs. So-and-so.
I want to talk
Niemi,
to Peter. Is he available? Oh, he's not. Okay, have a good day. I'll call back.
Yeah.
That's
Can you call me later?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's It's definitely something to think about. I've been trying to not be on my phone at certain times. But I definitely, especially if I'm posting something or I've been talking to people about something, I feel that urge to check it.
Yeah.
Like I'll leave it in a different room and I'll feel it pulling me.
It's weird, that dopamine rush and the reward. And I mean, with the podcast too, it's like today I spent so much time just like getting the episode uploaded. Is the picture right?
Yeah.
And it was like, just trying to be aware of what I'm doing on it, I think is really key.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, away from phones.
Yep. As I look at mine.
Yeah, it's like it's hard not to. Just a couple of questions. What's your favorite, one of your favorite, if you have a favorite, bike videos or parts? Like, what would be your go-to to watch if you need to get inspired?
Yeah, nowadays I watch a lot of Remy and Johan.
Oh yeah, hard not to.
Yeah, anything with Steve and Vanderhook. I love those guys. I think their stuff is rad. So that's probably where I go to with most of my stuff lately, at least.
Who are your favorite riders? Kind of jumping around. Who are your favorite riders right now?
Right now, it's probably like locally. I would say Ryan Rodriguez is one of my like idols, and he's also a homie.
Yeah.
So I would
Ryan's
say that,
super nice every time I've talked to him.
Yeah, on the low, like on the local list, I would say he's there. Obviously, my friends that I ride with a bunch, I would say that they're probably riders that I look up to and get inspired by.
Yeah.
But for like actual pros who are on YouTube, stuff like that, definitely, I would say Steve. Steve's probably my favorite rider right now.
What's his last name?
Vanderhook. Yeah.
Vanderhook, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites. I just like his style and his vibe, and he doesn't really have a social media presence, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
He just posts, fire clips.
I've DM'd Steve, and he replies back to me. What up, Steve?
He does. Yeah, Steve, if you're listening, remember me? I sent you a photo of my cat. Yeah. So that's really cool. But definitely Remy and Johan the most because I've done some coaching like in the last 2 years, and I take so much from those guys and the way that they ride and try to translate it into the way that I ride, especially when it comes to like steep stuff, and bike setup. Because they've got it figured out. Those guys can ride, especially Remy, right? Like he rides stuff like
my suspension
surgeon.
Is at the 100 PSI. My tire is 28.
Yeah, he's so dialed in, right? Which is crazy because I'm not that tuned in as he is on every little thing. But I definitely think that there's things to be learned from these guys, especially.
Yeah. Remy's so precise. I'm a set and forget. And I remember like when I watch him ride, he's like, I'm going to take, 2 PSI out of my shock before this drop.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
He knows. So who inspires you? Who do you?
Remy, he's so good right now that it's like, it's undeniable. And he's killing the YouTube game.
Yeah.
I love Matt Jones. He's always been one of my favorites.
Matt Jones, remind me again. He's like a
dirt
BMXer.
jumper.
Yeah,
on Marin. And he has a whole bunch of like crossover. But he's got a big YouTube presence. A whole bunch, all the local riders, honestly. Like I feel like we have a lot of really talented riders. Like Euron popped in my head.
Dude.
Andrew, I don't know your last name, Andrew. We're always at Pacifica. Andrew's like amazing on a bike.
What does he ride? Isn't it funny how we identify bikers by what they ride?
He had a white Specialized. I think he just got something else. He's got a few different bikes, but he's a chiller. He's really good. It's hard. It's overwhelming. There's so many good riders in the local area.
Yeah, should we just do like a major shout out?
Yeah, major shout out. Logan Dewey.
Dewey, love you.
Dude, Ethan Ventura. Ethan's so good.
Yeah,
Ethan's
dude.
Ethan's going to be something.
So did you know his dad built Triple J?
Yeah, I would say shout out Frank, yeah.
Frank built Triple J.
Yeah, he was at the Step Up Jam, and we were talking. I went up to him, and I was like, I don't want Ethan to win another event, but I think Ethan...
Didn't he flip? He flipped the Step Up, right?
Yeah, he flipped it. Yeah, he did every trick, yeah.
Same thing with him. Like, I feel like on social media, he's not on it very much, but he shreds.
Yeah.
He's so good.
He's too punk rock. He's like, no, I can't.
Yeah. I saw like a clip of like just some random drop they were building that was just insanely massive, and I'm sure he's hit it by now, and there's no clips of it at all.
Like the one in the middle of the field.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Mega.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
a
crazy.
big list right now. But thinking on my homies, shout out Aiden Sellers, Logan Dewey.
Dude, yeah, Aiden is a legend. Actually, so when I first started getting into jumping bikes, was on Treeline, and Will Sharney, I remember specifically him being like, Will, where you been? If you're listening, Will, where you been? I haven't heard from you or seen you.
I think he became a firefighter.
Oh, I remember I talked to him about EMT school and stuff like that. Interesting. Yeah. Well, we'll have to ask Aiden where Will is. But Will was definitely an inspiration for me. He has a clicked table. So does Aiden. But
yeah,
Will
when I started riding, Will was like, yeah, he was hitting all the jumps I thought I would never hit, and he was good, yeah.
Killing it. Those dudes had downhill bikes on tree line, and they were just making everybody look like squeebs.
Yeah.
So he inspired me definitely in the beginning because I like couldn't jump. I couldn't clear 4 or whatever, right? Like I was still sizing it up, and Will was like, dude, you got it. Just go all the way to 7, you know?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did one where I was scared to hit the wall ride at Pacifica or go up really high, and he went all the way to the top and then bunny hopped at the peak of the wall ride.
Sick.
And then like re-caught the wall, and it was like mind-blowing. I didn't even know you could do that on a bike. It was sick.
Speaking of that wall ride, did you see when Ryan went from the lip of the step up and gapped into it?
Dude, I bring that up all the time. Like, it defies the laws. Like, where he took off, like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I don't know how he did that.
That was so sick.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
I want Ryan's 360s, too.
Yeah, Ryan's got sick 3. Oh, Paul Jackson has a nasty 3.
Shout out, Paul.
Paul Jackson.
Oh, yeah, Paul's such a ripper. Dude, there's too many. That's the thing. I can't start naming people because there's just going to be people I leave out. And then after this, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's 20 other people I didn't say.
Yeah.
But there's just a good scene right now in the Bay Area.
Yeah, so if you were going to take one rider that you ride with skills, who would you want to take their skills? Not that they would not have their skills any longer, but if you were going to like embody them and ride like them, who would you want to ride like?
I want whips like Euron Satcher, and I want 3s like Paul Jackson. Sick. I love the way Paul does his 3s.
Yeah.
I want to be able to jib like Matt Reynolds. Matt can just do all the little jibby things, and I'm so jealous because he's got the BMX background. I wish I could have like, whips, 3s, and jibs like way better than I have them now.
All right. So you'd take pieces of all of them.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like one rider. Who would be your one rider?
Honestly, it's probably Euron. He's
Euron, what up?
He's so effortless. Euron was probably like my inspiration for the past maybe like 2 years. Like when I met Euron, he was just like so down to earth and like, oh yeah, what's up, man? You know?
Yeah.
And it was just like fresh and nice and new, right? And then you watch him ride a bike and it doesn't even look like he's trying. And it doesn't matter what bike he jumps on; he can do the same tricks the same way on any single bike.
Yeah,
it does.
He's posted clips when he was like 15, hitting jumps at Carlemont, and when Carlemont has looked the exact same for 20 years, and he was like teased out at 15. So shout out, Euron's like 20 blocks from where we are. He's in the Sunset too.
Shout out. Yeah. He posted clips of him riding Z's as like a little grommet on like a downhill bike that like didn't even fit him, and he's just like sending all the jumps.
Yeah.
It's like, this is back from like the 2000s. I'm like, dude, freaking A. He's so good. But I'd probably say Euron because he's got crazy steez. It's insane.
Yeah. The boy.
Yeah.
Well, so speaking of all the awesome riders we have in the Bay Area, what would you like to see more of in the Bay Area riding scene? Like, what would be your dreams to see in the next year, couple years?
I guess 2 things. What I've been seeing lately is we've been seeing a lot more women in the sport, and that's been really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I was shuttling in Santa Cruz recently, and there was a car full of women, and that was rad.
Yeah. The Step Up Jam, we had a whole girls category. We had a 14-year-old girl throwing Suey no-handers on the Step Up. It was insane.
Really? What was her name?
Her name was Olivia, if we have it correct.
Okay, cool. I saw Samantha went.
Yeah, Samantha won.
Saw some clips from her. Yeah. Olivia. Okay, cool. How many girls were there total? Do you know?
3.
Oh, okay.
But it was Chelsea, Samantha. But it was the fact they came out, and also the level of riding. I was yelling through the megaphone. I was like, "Show the boys how to do it!" Because they were throwing bigger whips than it was sick.
Nice. Yeah, it would be cool. I definitely think it's on the ups. Since 2020, I would say it's on the ups for sure.
Yeah.
And then just so much of a women's free ride movement, which has been so cool. You know, you just had Chelsea on. Yeah. I'm sure she's inspiring so many mountain bikers to get out there and, get Cindy, not just ride trails.
Yeah. She was talking about a possible women's category at Rampage, and I was like,
dude,
that would fire up. And
they should have one. They had the women's free ride event.
Yeah, Formation. Yeah.
Formation, right. Yeah, and that was awesome. That was so cool to see, and they were sending it.
Yeah.
The drop that Chelsea did just off top was crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, I would say that probably too. We've seen some legalization of trails in the Bay Area, and that's been really cool. Legalize the trails. Well, that's something that I took for granted in the beginning because I rode Rockville, right? And mountain bikes have been legal at Rockville since 1980 something. So the user conflict just doesn't happen. I'm sure occasionally it does,
but people know that there's bikes there.
People know that there's bikes there, and so when we ride mountain bikes on these unsanctioned bootleg trails, the hikers and the equestrians always have the upper hand, and they always will. And some zones it's not as bad as others, but some are terrible. You'll get screamed at. People get bucked off their horses because mountain bikers are going too fast. Whatever. Worst case scenario stuff.
If you're in Bellingham, you'll get stabbed.
That's, oh my gosh. Hopefully that never happens here in the Bay. But yeah, I would say that the Briones pilot project is happening now, which is cool.
It's awesome.
So there's 5 trails that are technically legal. Unfortunately, that is, we are getting legal trails with some trails being closed as well. And that's something that the diggers are not stoked about, and some of the locals are not stoked about.
Yeah, open up, legalize some, you close out.
Exactly.
The rest,
that's not what they want. But I talked to the ranger recently. He's like, we have no choice. We've got a biologist that's out in the area surveying the land, and we've got protected watersheds and erosion areas, and some of the trails aren't sustainable, so unfortunately they're going to have to go, which sucks. I get it. And someone spent a lot of hard time on those trails to make them, and they're fun. Some of them are really fun trails.
But then if they redirect and they're channel that energy to something that's not going to be torn down.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we would hope, but there's sort of a mentality you take one trail, we build 2 more, right? And so I'm hoping that doesn't happen. This is obviously a pilot. We're going to figure out how it plays out. But trails that are hopefully sustainable in the system that are bootleg will get signed, and they'll be legitimate, and we can ride them, and they have signs at the bottom that say downhill traffic only. Now we're dropping trails, and we don't have to worry about anybody coming up. People can still come up, but the risk is much lower, right? There's a sign at the bottom that says don't go up it,
so it's coming. And then hopefully these legalized trails are rowdy and fun too, because I know a lot of people will say that. It's don't legalize the trails because then they're going to make them all blue grade and so double track and whatever.
So that's not happening right now at Briones,
good.
Which is good. So the trails have drops and gaps and stuff, and they're all still running.
Nice.
They're talking about armoring some creek crossings and stuff, which is fine because there needs to be ride around for these features. And I'm cool with ride arounds, but I don't think they want to sanitize the trails because they know mountain bikers like those trails for a reason, right? They want to. So I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard line to kind of toe because people might get injured there, right? So what do you do?
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing in Marin is they're building flow trails, right?
Flow. Yeah. Well, we love Tamarancho, but Tamarancho is the only flow trail I think we need.
Right. Yeah. And they build a flow trail. It's okay, it's 4 feet wide. It's got, berms that don't hold water, and they're not any fun to ride. So I think that hopefully we don't get more of those because, it's great that trails get built, but that's not what we're looking for.
Yeah. Or you have the SF McLaren Bike Park where you raise $1 million, then nothing happens for 15 years.
What is the status of that place? Is it like BMX or what is it?
It's about the size of the room we're in my living room, practically.
Oh, gosh.
It's tiny, and it's a pump track around a little middle section with 2 wooden wall rides. It's a huge waste of time and a disastrous waste of funds.
It doesn't seem to make any sense. Why
No,
would
it
there be
makes
wall
no
rides
sense.
in the middle of a pump track?
It's crazy. And it's going rant, but people are they think just SF just pocketed the money because they raised tons of money, and then there's a whole bunch of time with no action, and they've allocated this huge spot of land, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do phase 2 with a real jump line, and that's just beyond dead in the water. That's never gonna happen.
Yikes.
But they have a donors wall of people who donated if you go to the park, and it's a whole bunch of Bay Area names. I think people were really hyped, and it's oh, we're gonna have a legit bike park in SF, and then it just went and now it's laughable. So I think that turned a lot of people off from donating and legalizing stuff in the Bay Area. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
Are you taking any bike trips this year? Do you have anything on the docket? What do you got going on?
I'll be in Bellingham for a week at the end of June. That should be really fun. Euron will actually be there.
Oh, sick.
So speaking of that.
Have you been to Bellingham?
No, I'm so excited.
Sick.
So I'm doing a week going up, riding along Central Oregon, Bellingham, then coming back down, and should be fun. I have a lot of time off work, which I've never had before in my life, so I'm excited for that.
Do you have any goals, any trails you've been looking at online that you want to hit?
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel is...
I'm not going to claim it on the podcast because a lot of riders I know have told me, don't claim it. You're going to go there and be humbled. And so I know that. I've also heard just, Galbraith Mountain. I've just heard there's so much fun stuff. So I just want to get out there and explore.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name, but Logan was telling me that like one step down from Blue Steel.
Yeah, the cedar dust jumps. That's where Logan spent most of his time.
Yeah, everyone's told me those are super fun. So clearing that line realistically and maybe Blue Steel, but just going out there and then I want to check out Black Rock too on my way back. I'm going to Black Rock, and that's supposed to be a really awesome zone. So
yeah. Any other spots along the way?
Ashland, Sandy Ridge, Oak Ridge.
Post Canyon. Thinking about Post?
It's on there. Okay. I got to figure out how to like connect to it. I was going to go to Bend, and then Chelsea was like, nah, don't. Yeah. I've been to Mount Bachelor once, and I'm like,
It's kind of out of the way. If you want to hit biking spots on the way, you definitely want to go up 5.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go up the central coast or center of Oregon and then come down on the 5.
Got it.
Yeah. And then hit Ashland. Yeah. Going down the 5, there's way more riding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard Oak Ridge is really fun. So I want to get out and do that. I might go to Mount Hood, explore that. But
sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, what about you? You got anything planned?
Yeah, same thing. I want to get up to the Pacific Northwest. I went to Whistler last year, so I was gonna try and go back up there this year for maybe just a couple days.
Nice.
I'm not really sure. I think maybe I want to go up to the Pacific Northwest. I'd like to go back. I went to Galbraith 2 years ago. Yeah, and I didn't look at Blue Steel because I didn't think I was gonna ride it.
Was it there 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was there. It's been built, I think, 4 or 5 years now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I didn't think we were gonna ride it. We didn't even ride the red line at Cedar Dust. You have to plan the wind out there. So you have to I think you ride it in the morning. It's not that windy. You got to take a look at that when you're out there.
Okay.
But we rode the black line, and then I was like, maybe I'll look at Blue Steel, but we didn't end up going. So I would like to ride Blue Steel too. And I think I would like to say that I'll hit Blue Steel.
I think you got it. I think I could do it. It's just, am I gonna get in my head about it? And
I think if you have a toe. Somebody who knows the trail well and you can match their speed, a toe that you jump like too, right? Like don't follow Paul Jackson into Blue Steel because he's going to boost all the jumps and you're going to case them all.
Oh yeah.
So like somebody who rides kind of like you that can tow you in, that's going to be pivotal.
Yeah.
That's going to be super important. But yeah, so like even Logan's got pop, dude.
Yeah, no, I ride. Yeah, if I follow Logan, I catch up to him right away. Yeah.
So you keep that in mind because just getting a tow, like I know a lot of people say, just get a tow, it's going to be fine. But you need to know what that person jumps like because if they jump totally different than you, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I've done that. I've hit Aiden's tire in midair one time, and that's when I realized I was like, I think you pop higher and I go a little faster. Gosh. Yeah, I almost killed him.
Did neither of you crashed?
No, it worked out. Like we literally tapped tires in midair, and then I did a bar turn, and the bar turn like just moved me away enough, and then I landed. And he had no idea it happened. He was in air, and he was like, he turned around, he's like, "What?" And I was like freaking out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So don't do that.
Don't follow too close. If I can give you any advice.
Yeah. Well, outside of your trips, anything else you want to tell the people about?
Nope. I think that if I was going to give a message, it'd just be kind to other trail users while you're out there. If you see a biker and they're riding by themselves, just ask them, hey, you know where you're going? Have you ever ridden here before? Don't be afraid to take people under your wing. And I always say it too, I'll ride with anybody once. So like if you've been thinking about you want to ride with us or something like that, as long as we're not in protected zones, feel free. DM me on Instagram and I'll gladly ride with you.
Hit them up.
Hit me up.
Cool. Be on the lookout for more East Bay Ripper stuff. Also be looking out for these Mike Bikes edits and the clip that we got today.
Yeah, we got some fire. It probably will already be live by the time this goes live, but we got some sick stuff.
Yeah, so check it out. And dude, Justin, thanks for coming by, man. I'm glad we did this.
Thanks for having me. It's my first time in the Sunset District of San Francisco.
Here we are.
It's been a good time.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.